and I am back with part 2 of the interior for Kim and Kanye's mansion. So this is going to be, of course, the interior, and this is everything that I did for it. It was actually a very, very fun home to do. I had the rooms being extraordinarily big, and I was a little bit worried, to be honest, with how big they were turning out, but I actually really liked the overall look to it, and I was very, very pleased with it after it was finished. Now I did change around the light colours of the build, and how I did that was going onto live mode and making the lights look white, and I did this throughout because I thought that it gave a really, really amazing look to the build, and I was happy with it, and I thought that that really did give something. I know that some people don't like when I do that, and I know that that is a completely personal thing. If it does bother you, then you can go back onto the Sims 4 gallery and you can change it, and it only takes about a second. So honestly, if you still want the house and if you don't like what I did with the light colours, then you can change it back. But yeah, so the interior itself, I don't think that it looked too similar to the Hamptons mansion that I recently did. And why I say that is because I think that even though some of the colours do clash a little bit, I think with using maybe a repeat of the wallpapers and stuff, and that is just because it's so difficult to decorate houses in The Sims 4 nowadays, because without repeating yourself, it's so hard. I have done a lot of interiors for mansions now, and because we're not getting any new content, it's so difficult, and I had a lot of fun doing it though. It was a really interesting home to do. But yeah, I did, and I think with this house, I think that some of the really interesting things about it was the fact that I had a lot of room to play around with. I thought making larger rooms would just be better, and that's what I decided to do instead of making really small rooms on the inside. So this house will be actually very playable. If you were to download it to your game, then you could have it being maybe your family's house, and it would be. So you wouldn't have to worry about your Sims going through various amounts of rooms. I think the house itself only ends up with about 5 bedrooms, I think. And I know that that's quite small in terms of bedrooms, and I think maybe 4 bathrooms. But the build itself, I just think that for what I had in bedrooms, they were grand bedrooms. And I think that a house like this, I think that the interior to their home would be very big, and I think that the room sizes would be ginormous. So I think that having things like that would just be really interesting, and I would much prefer to have maybe a few really big rooms that were really nicely done, rather than lots and lots of small bedrooms all cramped in together. So that's why I made that decision. What I was doing on here is I was turning on my cheats because I forgot again. I always forget to turn my cheats on, and it's so irritating. I get about halfway through and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I forgot. So yeah, I was turning the light colours to this white colour, and I actually think that, I know why some people think it's cold and it does look a little bit chilly in here by doing that, but I actually think that with The Sims and the way that the game has sort of been programmed, it always has the lights being yellow, and lights aren't yellow, or at least they're not that yellow. And of course it depends on what bulbs you're using, which, to be fair, let's not go into because everybody's going to use different bulbs in their lights. But yeah, my experiences are that The Sims 4 lights generically are too yellow for me, and I think that the lighting that it gives off is just not accurate, and I think that this is more accurate, more realistic to what it would look like. And also it really helps make sure that the colours of the furniture look a lot better, because sometimes the light colour can tamper with the furniture colour, and I don't like that. And I think from a matching point of view, it just looks a lot better. But yeah, so what I was doing is I was going around the hallway here, and I was just adding some general features. I thought I'd make the hallway very pale because I would imagine it to look like that. I actually did regret having the house in very pale colours. So what I did with the kitchen and also the study is I put it in dark colours, and some of the bedrooms upstairs were quite dark as well, and I liked that. I thought it looked really good, and I was happy with the way that it turned out. I still think that it's really nice to have a mix of different rooms, even in an all matching home. I would definitely imagine this house to be all matching, and the reason I say that is because I think they would have an interior designer to come and do their whole entire house. And I have been in a house with a similar net worth to this, I think, with probably about 20 to 25 million pounds worth of a house. I have been inside one, and it was actually a castle, but when I did, I noticed that the whole interior of the build was done by an interior decorator, and I think with that much money, I think you would. I think you just get somebody to do it all for you, and I feel as if with this home, I would want that effect. So it was very, very difficult, of course, with the limited amount of furniture that we do have in The Sims 4. And I know that sometimes I do have to repeat myself with furniture and things, but honestly, it's so incredibly tricky to do a mansion like this. And I do lots and lots of builds a week as well. I probably do about 2 builds a week, and I also do lots of mansions as well. Probably do about 2 mansions a month in total, so a lot. And I feel as if with the choice that I'm running out of, I don't know, it's so hard, it's so difficult. But yeah, so this was the lounge. I tried my best in here. I tried my best with every single room in this home. I tried to make it work as best as I could. I put some bookcases in, and what I did as well is I was trying to make a piano work, but I don't think that I did in the end. So I'm not sure what happened over here. I honestly can't remember what this space was used for. I think that I tried out a yoga mat there, and I think if I can remember, that's what I went for in the end. And that would probably be for Kim to do some yoga on or squatting. I don't know. I would imagine that she has to do a lot of squats, and in fact, I read an article a really long time ago that said that Kim probably does about 1,000 squats a day, which I don't know. I don't even know if that's even possible. I have no idea. But yeah, this is how I finished off the lounge. I put in a storage cabinet over here, maybe for clothes, maybe for other things. I don't know. I also put lots and lots of trophies around the house. I don't think that there were any in the lounge. I'm not sure though. And I did just put some general items around, like an urn. I have no idea what that would be for, but there we go. And I think that's how the room finished off. And then I was on to the children's playroom. So this is, of course, for their daughter, Northwest. And I think they've had a son, but honestly, I don't follow them as people. I don't follow like celebrities and stuff. I just tend to watch YouTube. So I don't read a lot of magazines and things because it doesn't really interest me that much. But yeah, so I think they've had a son, but I'm not too sure. And this would probably be for the children, and if the son grew up, then he would use this room as well. It could be turned into a girls' and boys' room, just depending on what wallpapers you wanted to use. I just think that this looks like a very feminine room at the moment, but it definitely could be. The bedrooms themselves, I think that I didn't put in a cot for the baby because honestly, I wasn't sure, and I didn't look it up because I just didn't. I was too occupied with the build itself. I did finish off the room just by putting in some children's items, things like that. And this room here, I think was the lounge. I think it was. No, it was a study. Okay, the study. We've just done the lounge. All right, so this was a study. I did change this room a lot though. And also by the time that I actually finished this room, I went back to it. So if you do have doubts about this room, then honestly, I had doubts as well. But I just feel as if I needed just a break. And sometimes I get that when I'm building. Sometimes I think to myself, I can't think about it right now. I need a couple of minutes and then I'll come back to it and then I'll do it. And if you are ever stuck, if you're a builder as well, then honestly, it helps so much sometimes. And it just gives you a chance to just get new ideas just from doing other rooms, things like that. And that's what I decided to do. I put in some statues as well. I would definitely imagine that statue to be of Kanye. I keep saying that. Yeah, I definitely would though. And I think that other than that, there are just some different things around. I think I put a bar in here. The home itself has lots and lots of bars, and I don't know whether that would be for alcoholic stuff. I don't know. I think that I would definitely imagine it to maybe be juice bars, things like that. I don't know, just healthy eating. I'm not sure though. But yeah, so lots and lots of bars around the build, and I did make sure that you could use this still, even though you can't actually sit at it. I did move the bar as well, but you'll see that in the end. So, I mean, this point, everything I'm doing at the moment, I don't really keep. So just bear with it because I change a lot of stuff. It's mainly just the colorings of things though. I think the bar stays there, but as in, I think the room itself does look a lot better when I do change the colors about. I was also putting in some storage. I thought storage was extremely important in a build, and I thought that for this home as well, I would definitely expect lots and lots of storage, lots of cabinets, built-in cabinets, because built-in cabinets look really, really good. And also I think built-in cabinets are something that's very, very popular in America. I think that that is probably a very good reason for me moving to America. I'd love to. I'd actually love to. In fact, I've had the opportunity a couple of times, but it just hasn't gone through, unfortunately. But I think when I look at houses in America, honestly, I get cupboard envy because I think to myself, that just looks amazing. And I'd love to have the opportunity to just have so many cupboards in a house. And of course, they're not all gonna be like that. And it just depends regionally as well, where you are. But when I look on, I think it's Trulia I love that app. I love looking at houses. I don't know what it is. But yeah, so when I look at Trulia and I look at all the builds, I just think how many houses just have built-in wardrobes, and it just seems really, really popular over there. But of course, I don't know. I think that it definitely feels more popular over there though. Of course, I have no idea, but my personal experiences with living in Europe, I just feel like a lot of houses don't come with walk-in wardrobes, cupboards, things like that. And it's really the big builds, the big homes, big mansions that do come with that. But when you're buying maybe a small house or a starter home, things like that, then my personal experiences are that it doesn't tend to come with that sort of stuff. In fact, the house I live in at the moment is really, really nice and I love it, but it doesn't have any storage. In fact, it doesn't even have one cupboard in the house that's built in. And it was the same with my old house in Switzerland, so it just depends. Anyway, this was how I was finishing off the study though. Of course, I did come back to it, so this isn't how it's going to look, but what I was doing is I was putting in some trophies. I thought that lots and lots of trophies would be in here. Maybe from music awards that Kanye's won, or maybe he's just bought himself the trophies just to look like he's got trophies. I have no idea. Maybe he's won lots and lots of awards that we just don't know about. This was the bathroom in here. So the bathroom was just a very, very plain room under the stairs. I just thought putting in a white bathroom here would actually be a really nice look to the build, and I really enjoyed doing this bathroom. I actually like brightly coloured bathrooms, and it's a little bit unusual to have carpet in here, but I think that it looks as if this room is quite a wealthy, rich room, and I think that carpet on the floors of bathrooms would definitely say wealth to me. It would say that the family probably replaced the carpet once a week or something. I have no idea. But yeah, I mean, just looking at this bathroom, it just screams out wealth to me. And it's the same with the marble floor tiles throughout the build, because marble is incredibly, incredibly expensive. When I was reading about the house and I was trying to find articles on it, I actually found an article that said that I think Kim and Kanye spent about $25,000 just doing the downstairs flooring of their home. But I honestly can't remember. I think their house is just going to be one of those never-ending projects probably. I would not expect the house to be finished, because I think that happens with big mansions though. I think that when you think you're finished, something goes wrong and you have to repair it, things like that, and the house looks humongous. So yeah, lots and lots of money's gone into the flooring, and I would definitely expect this flooring to be that expensive because it looks it. I think it does. I love the shine in it as well. This is when I was doing this room in here though. I was trying to figure out what I would have for in here. I didn't want to just start duplicating rooms just for the sake of it. So I actually had this being a bar room, and I know that I had a bar in the other room, the study, but I wanted a separate bar room for this. I thought that would be a really fun thing to have. Also, it could be used for lots and lots of different things, and it's a room that you could change to be whatever you want it to be as well. You could actually change it to an indoor gym if you wanted to do that. I didn't actually have a gym for the build. I decided on having a spa rather than a gym, so you'll probably see that in a bit. This was the downstairs kitchen though. In fact, I don't know why I said downstairs because it's the only kitchen. But anyway, this is it. So I decided to do something with the cubes here, and I was trying to do some fancy designs here. That's because when I looked at the interior pictures, I only found a couple though, so not many at all. And I just found maybe one picture of the kitchen, one of the dining room, and I think that was it. I think that's all I found. But yeah, the kitchen itself had a humongous square counter in the middle, and that's where it had its own stove, things like that, and just general dangling things from the ceiling, like the, I don't know what they're called, ventilation systems. I think that's the closest thing I'm going to get to it. Yeah, so I was putting those in. I don't know how nice they looked, I'm not too sure though, and I was filling up the kitchen. It was really when I started to think about the colours for the rest of the build, I thought that I was probably a bit mean on the study there. So after doing this room, I did actually go back to the study and I corrected where I went wrong, or where I think I went wrong. And yeah, this is how this room turned up. So a little bit boxy, I think, but I was actually quite happy with the results. And I think when I started to put in the little stools as well, I think they gave a really nice look to the build, and I was definitely happy with how this room was turning out. I was then just separating these stoves in the middle because there was a little bit of space in between there. And what I did with the space was I put a plant and I also put a bin. I love the fact that the bin is hidden from the rest of the kitchen, and it would mean to me that maybe the family have all sat around on those stools and they're just waiting for their food to be cooked by a chef. I definitely imagine that. The rest of the room was filled up with lots and lots of counters, and the top ones as well. So I used the really long cabinets, and I thought that broke the room up a bit, and I loved that. I also liked the fact that the room looked very dark, and I thought that it looked really different from the other rooms. So I was feeling really positive about it at this point. Then what I was doing is I was putting some lights around because it just wasn't looking bright enough, and I thought some wall decorations would look really good as well. So I did that, and I was just generally experimenting with stuff. I thought that putting in one of these things with the pans on top would look really cool, and I actually think the house has that. When I was looking at the kitchen, I think it had something similar to that, but honestly, I can't remember. But yeah, so I put one of those in, and I think that that does give something to the kitchen as well. I don't think that I've ever used one of those in my builds, and I definitely think that in my next builds and stuff, I definitely want to use them because I thought that that looked really nice for the kitchen. I went back to the study at this point, so this is when I was changing the colours. It ended up being very brown, so I think I mentioned that before. But yeah, I did, and it was only really the colours I changed. It wasn't the other things in the room. I actually think it looked a lot better like this though, and I think that it looked a lot more traditional. I think it's definitely important for mansions to have that traditional feature inside, and for the mansion that they do have, I would definitely imagine that, even though I think it's a new build, but I don't know. By the pictures, I honestly couldn't tell, and I didn't read that much about it. I only probably did maybe 10 to 15 minutes research. I think that it was a good amount of time to spend though on doing this, and I think that in doing that then, it gave me a lot more time to think about my own ideas and use my imagination with it. So I did really enjoy doing that. I don't know that much about Kim and Kanye as people, and that's me being completely honest with everybody. I don't listen to a lot of rap music, and I don't watch reality TV, but I did really enjoy recreating their house, and I thought it was a lot of fun. I think that for some of my builds, some people do expect me to know every single thing about it or the people that the build belongs to, but honestly, I don't. I'm just a Sims enthusiast. That's the best way to describe it. I mean, I just enjoy creating builds for The Sims 4, and you know, that's just what I like to do. I think that with Hogwarts and things, that was probably one of the builds that mostly suffered with that. I got a lot of people saying, oh, you put the bathroom in the wrong place, you did this wrong, you did that wrong, you don't know Hogwarts, you don't know Harry Potter, you know, things like that. But the thing is, it's never going to be 100% accurate, and it is my own take on everything. And that's just me being honest and me saying, actually, I don't know everything about it. Maybe it's something that I will do eventually, but honestly, I think it's more important to use my own imagination with it, because I think with using my own imagination with things, it just makes it a lot more creative in that. So I was definitely happy with how this home looked in the end, and I really hope that you are as well. This is when I was filling up these rooms though, so these are the rooms that were leading on to the garages. The garages had the cars in, so it's a little bit odd, but I did put them in there, and I think that that is a nice look to the build. Of course, it does waste some room spaces, and if you did want to use those rooms, then of course you could. You'd have 3 extra rooms if you did want to play around with those, and that would be really interesting, hopefully. This is when I was on to the upstairs. The upstairs was a very white place. I did actually take a lot of the brown doors out, and I just changed them for white because I just didn't think that it went with the wallpapers, and I thought that I would want to match it with the downstairs, and that's what I'd imagine. I think that when I am thinking about the interior of mansions, I do think about light colours such as marble, things like that, maybe a bright colour of marble like white or cream. I just think that that feels really rich to me, and I'm not always going to like every single interior on my builds. In fact, I just won't, and sometimes the interiors will feel uncomfortable, but I think that mansions would feel a little bit uncomfortable and cold because it's a big house, and big houses tend to be cold, especially with marble floors. So I think that it was very accurate to how I would imagine this home, and I think that this is what would be in it, but I'm not too sure. Lots and lots of sculptures around, probably of Kanye and Kim again, just throughout the build. So yeah, I definitely imagine those because I think that that would be probably something that they did get done, or maybe just pictures of themselves, I'm not sure. I would imagine sculptures though, because I think that sculptures are just very fancy, and that's what I think there. I did put some seating areas just around the hallway here because it was huge, but I did try to not fill it up too much because I definitely want it to be playable, and I don't want it to be too glitchy or slow or anything. And I think that that's the best thing about this home, is the fact that it doesn't actually have that many items used in it, and I really like that idea of not using that many. I was just putting in some pictures along here. I didn't really know what to do because it wasn't a lot of space to use up, and I just thought maybe just putting in some bookcases, plants, things like that would just make it look okay, and I think I was pretty happy with how that bit turned out of the build. Then what I was doing is I was dragging the colours from the downstairs to the upstairs. This was very important, of course, because I wanted to make sure that the floors were completely decorated, and also I think using the same sort of colours from the downstairs is just important because it makes it match. And also I could have done a lot with the bedrooms, and I think that I did with these colours. I think the colours were nice colours, and I like a lot of the creams, the whites and the bright colours that were used. So yeah, I was definitely happy with that. There were some carpets upstairs as well, which was a little bit unusual. And some of the bedrooms did have the marble flooring, which of course I liked as well. Just depends on what you want. This is when I was just putting in the lights. I put in loads of lights, but I thought I'd do this before I started because on the downstairs, I can't remember doing that. And also, I just wanted to change all the light colours at once, or at least most of them, even though I did change them throughout the build, so I did keep popping back onto live mode. Apologies for not using Kim and Kanye as a family. I really wanted to, but to save time, I just put a random sim in, so you can just see a random sim pop up sometimes. That's just because it's just sometimes easier to do that. Just use a random townie. And I did. It probably saved me about 5 seconds, which, let's be fair, was probably worth the change, but I just didn't want to, and sometimes I don't do that, so that's what I didn't do. I was putting in a fireplace for this room because I think a lot of fireplaces would look nice in a build like this, and it looks pretty fancy in a bedroom anyway. Lots and lots of repeated photos, so apologies for that, but honestly, I couldn't think about what else to put there, and I did use lots of traditional ones as well. This could potentially be a main bedroom, but then again, this whole house could have a lot of main bedrooms because I used a lot of different rooms, and I think that it turned out quite nicely in the end. Another bedroom went in here too. This could also be a main bedroom. I think this is probably my favourite room by the end. It just looks really, really fancy. And if I was to think about how they would have their bedroom, I can imagine a humongous bed. I can actually imagine a curved bed. I think that's quite in with celebrities at the moment. And also, when I am watching programmes like Cribs, that's what I do see a lot. I see lots of curved beds. It's just a shame we don't have anything like that in the Sims 4, and I didn't want to use custom content because it's not fair on the people that don't want to use it. If you did want to download it into your own game though and use custom content, I think it would look really good, and I'd love to see how it turns out. If you do have me on Twitter, then I'd love to see pictures. This is how this room was finishing off though. I put in a really, really fancy seat. I don't know if the seat matched. I think I turned it into a different colour, but I honestly can't remember. I think I probably went back to that after the build because sometimes I do actually go back and I check. Oh, this was when I went to go and do the dining room, so I was a little bit preoccupied at this point because I thought I would turn this into a dining room area and it would look really fancy because I did actually forget it. And I thought a really, really important feature for this home would be to have a dining room area, and I thought that that would just be something that I just couldn't miss out on. So I didn't want to do that. This in here was the sauna area, so I thought it would be really lovely to have a sauna. It could also be for a hot tub area. I didn't actually put a hot tub in the build, but you could easily put one outside if you wanted to. I thought a sauna inside was probably more important to me because, I don't know, I just imagine a sauna to be in the house, and it would probably be outside somewhere near the pool, but I think either way it still looks good there. This was another bar area up here. I'd probably imagine it to be a juice bar or something. I didn't actually realise that there was a room behind it, and I did actually knock down the wall and I moved this whole bar area over once I did see it. I think that sometimes when I'm doing builds for a really long amount of time and I spend ages doing it, maybe even hours into a build, it's so difficult to realise when I'm making a mistake or something. And I know that some people do point it out, you missed this or you left this light in a certain place, but I do go back and I check it afterwards. But honestly, it's so difficult sometimes, especially when I have spent hours and hours on a build. It's really, really tricky. But yeah, I did, and I extended it, and that was actually something that was really good there because it meant that I could put somewhere to meditate again. I think I did anyway. I think I put somewhere to meditate over there. Yeah, I think I left it like that, and I think that I was a lot happier with that choice. I was also experimenting with the wallpapers. I like to mix them a little bit. That's what I did in here. I thought having a really relaxed spa room was definitely a must, and I could have had a bedroom in here really easily, and you could if you wanted to, but honestly I thought having luxuries like that would be more important to me, and I think that from a playable point of view, it would mean that it's more interesting and those rooms would actually fit a purpose. And this was another bathroom. I didn't actually have many bathrooms in this build, but that's because the bathrooms that I did have were extremely big. The upstairs area, so the upstairs balcony overlooked the whole garden, and this looked really nice, I think. And I liked it. I think that having a DJ stand there was a lovely idea as well. There were actually 2 DJ stands in the house, so if you did have parties, I think you'd probably have to remove one temporarily and then add it back, just so the DJ would probably go to whichever one you want to choose. But yeah, I think it looks good in the end, and you could definitely have a lot of fun up here with different parties, different Sims invited. It could be a very, very exclusive area, and also it makes sense for maybe the Sims to walk in the house, go up the stairs straight away and just go straight out. I think it could be really fun though, and you could create some of the scenes from the reality TV show if you wanted to with the Kardashian family. You could recreate them or get them off Sims 4 Gallery, and you could move them in, and it could be a really fun area to get the whole family there. I don't know, it could be pretty interesting. This was Northwest's bedroom though. I thought having her as a child would be a lot better than having her as a baby, because she's not a baby anymore and she's probably close to being a child. I'm not sure. But yeah, this is her room. I thought that it looked very, very classy, and I would imagine these sort of colours to be in maybe a wealthy children's bedroom in a wealthy house. I don't know, that's what I'd imagine. So that's what I had there, and I think the real fun is, of course, in the playroom. So if you did want to use the playroom as a bedroom, you could, of course, and you could just move the bed down there. But I thought having the two rooms completely separately would be really nice as well. Of course, in the mansion itself, I definitely imagine them to join onto each other, and you'd probably have the baby's bedroom, you'd have a playroom in the middle, and you'd then potentially have the nanny's bedroom at the other side of that. That's what I would definitely picture in my head. This was the other main bedroom. I keep saying that every single bedroom we go past, that's the other main bedroom, but it is. It's another bedroom that you can have as the main bedroom, and it's a really, really big room. I did do some unusual things in here, and I did actually notice that these wardrobes match that bookcase, and I was actually very happy with that. I was thinking about what to put on there, but I don't think that anything was necessary in the end. I think this is probably my favourite bedroom, and if I was to say which one they would choose, I think they'd probably choose this one. It's got a mirror inside as well, and maybe they'd sit down, try on outfits, look in the mirror, I don't know. The room didn't take me that long though, and then I was on to another main bedroom, which was this room, which was actually the last room in the whole house. I was deciding what to have there, and it was actually a very, very tough decision. I didn't realise that I did have a storage cabinet potential at the side there, so I did actually have a perfectly sized room for it, so I did actually put that into the other room. So where you see the other brown room next to this room, that is where a storage cabinet will be, and that will be a dressing place. I didn't really feel the need to do lots of dressing rooms. I know that that's probably what they would have, but to be honest, in The Sims 4, I don't think it would be that much fun to have it, and it would also not be very usable. But that is the end of the build, so I really hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you all future videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I will speak to you all soon.